we are going to look at how to print well-formatted outputs using printf. When you are printing an integer value, you can place a number between percentage and %d, which will specify the number of columns the computer should use for displaying that value. Take a look at this code with these statements, all trying to print either one of these two integer values. When you take the first statement into consideration, this is what you use typically. And what happens here is that your output shows up starting from the first column on the left and then taking as many sets of columns as are necessary to print this number. When you look at the second statement, you can see that it counts the first 6 columns from the left, and then it takes up all those columns to print this number. Since this is a 4-digit number, the first 2 columns are left blank. Similarly for this statement, where the first 6 columns are considered and only these 3 columns are filled, the first 3 are left blank because of the 6 columns budgeted to print this number, only 3 were needed. Now in the fourth example, we say use 2 columns, but since 2 columns are not enough, then we print basically from in these 2 columns, and whatever is overflowing goes to the right. And so this looks indistinguishable from the first statement. We can play the same game with float and double. And here we do this using a specifier that uses a syntax that looks a little bit like this, where the A that is given in the red specifies the number of columns to be used to print the output, and the B in blue that follows the dot specifies the number of decimal places that should be in the output. So when you consider these 3 statements, the first output is what you would get without any kind of formatting other than the bare minimum. And here you get to see 6 digits by default of the float. On the other hand, if you say I want to use these 6 spaces or 6 columns and I want to round down to 2 decimal places, we get to see 3.14 and 2 columns are left blank. Now you will say, why are 2 columns left blank when there are just 3 digits here? The answer, this dot also occupies a space. So this output 3.14 is actually spanning 4 columns of space, even though 3 of them are numbers and 1 of them is a special character. So C is very finicky in this way. You have to be careful. And then in this last example, this is where you just do percentage point for F. And so we start from the first leftmost column and we count off 4 columns, and we see that the output overflows out on the right, but we only round it up to 4 decimal places with the rounding off. So in this way, you can print outputs of decimal numbers and have them look good.